Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Gas F1, the Graeme and Sophia podcast. Post 2023 F1 season, post Abu Dhabi Grand Prix.
Sad. What a way to end the season
Yeah,
with a
it
snooze
was,
fest.
it really was. It's kind of fitting for how the season has gone that the last race was a little bit of a bore,
Of
but
course.
not every race can be a banger, and at least Vegas was entertaining. So
Yeah,
somewhat the last doubleheader of the season wasn't a total bore.
just the second half of it.
You froze again. I don't
Oh,
know if you. I think it's fine. I think it just happened,
okay.
but it's always like I don't know. Whatever. It was fine. It was fine. So we're good.
We move on.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, so I guess let's get into the race results. To no one's surprise, taking P1 is Max, P2, my boy Charles, P3, George, P4, Checo, P5, Lando, P6, Oscar, P7, Alonso, P8, Yuki, P9, Hamilton, and P10, Stroll. I would say it's, I mean, the top
I feel like the only person
10.
from the top 10 that like should be there that isn't is Carlos.
That's what I'm thinking. Like,
Like
if
if
you
you put
just,
Carlos in there for Yuki, it's
yep.
makes perfect sense.
I was just about to say it's not one of the most far off top tens that we've seen. It's pretty on par with what we would expect, except for Yuki for sure. But
Yeah.
shout out Yuki. What a race
Yeah.
for
It
him.
was also one of those weird races where George was randomly faster than Lewis
Yeah.
by like a good margin. I think Hamilton had a really good quote like earlier in the week where he said like the entire season they've never been like equal on pace. It's either one of them is like half a tenth or half of a second faster one race, and then it's the other race, and it makes like no sense.
Yeah. They like can't be consistent. It's
No.
one or the other. But I feel like that's also kind of like Charles and Carlos too.
Yeah, I think
I,
though with
just
them
in
they like
it's more
developed
bad
a
luck.
car to kind of come
Yeah.
back towards Charles, whereas with the Mercedes boys, it's just kind of there's not really
Mixed
any reason.
bag.
It's just their
No.
car is just a monster.
They got some things to work on for next year.
That is for sure. Yeah. So overall, I mean, I feel like they tried to keep the race entertaining by they kept showing those like graphics, like oh Mercedes is now ahead of in the championship, Ferrari is now ahead. If
Yeah.
Yuki stays in P5, he'll take AlphaTauri will overtake Williams in the constructors, but then it just ended up being pretty boring.
Yeah, like they try to keep it exciting when like Carlos was running, I think it was P8. They're like, "Oh, Ferrari's ahead." And it's like, "Well, Sir needs to pit, any day now."
Yeah.
So like, why are you yeah, right now he's ahead, but we all know that like he's going to fall back after he
Hmm.
pits. So it's like they're pushing it too much. It's like
Yeah, they the fact that they were like hyping up the battle for P4 in the constructors just goes to show how bad of the
yeah,
season
this
it
season
was. Like so much to fight for P4 in the constructors and drivers and all these structures matters a little bit, but they were hyping up P4 in the drivers, which absolutely means nothing.
yeah, it's like, wow, you didn't even get top 3. Like, congrats, you did great.
Yeah. Um yeah, so I would give the race 5 out of 10. The most average race possible. There were a couple overtakes, but nothing too exciting happened.
Yeah, I gave it a 4 out of 10.
That's
Just
fair. It's yeah, slightly
a
below
little below
average.
average. Yeah, it was whatever. It's sad that it was the last race, but like you said, it's very on par with how this whole season has gone. So,
Yeah. On to 2024. So let's quickly go over our predictions. We'll go with yours first. You had for your podium Max P1. Good job.
surprise.
Charles P2 and
Woo.
Carlos P3. Um, and your wild prediction was that Ferrari was going to overtake Mercedes in the constructors.
Yep.
So you got first and second. Ferrari pulled the worst strategy I've ever seen out for Carlos, just leaving him out there for 50. Like
Praying.
it felt like the entire race, like he
Yeah.
just was just out there doing nothing.
Praying for a
Um,
safety car that never came.
and then I don't know if you noticed, but he didn't actually finish the race. He retired on the last lap.
Wait, what?
Yeah,
I missed
they
that?
went to pit him, and then they said like stop the car, and they just retired the car.
I mean, yeah, I guess at that point, like,
They were like,
does
oh,
it
let's
really
just pretend
matter?
there was something wrong with the car, and it wasn't that we're idiots and had a terrible
Yeah.
strategy for Carlos.
Ferrari will never own up to their mistakes. So we all know that the only time that their strategy is good is when Charles and Carlos don't listen to their team.
Exactly. There was a really funny meme that I almost played as my meme.
It
Um,
might be mine.
okay, I won't say anything then. It probably is. It probably is.
Yeah, because I think I know where you're going, but
Yeah.
we'll pause, and if not, then you can say it then.
Okay. So
But
you
yeah,
got
so
2 points for your predictions
yeah,
this week.
moving on to you. You tried to spice things up. You were manifesting P1 for Lando, P2
Mm-hmm.
for Max, P3 for Lewis, and your wild prediction is that Lando gets P4 in the Drivers' Cup, or whatever, Drivers. Um,
Yeah. Big fat zero.
yeah, yeah. Lewis, if you just changed it
I did have a
with
Mercedes in the
George,
right spot.
yeah, you did.
And if Lando didn't fuck up qualifying, he probably would have gone P4.
Maybe, yeah, possible.
I saw
Yeah.
so he the fact that he started behind Charles and George kind of messed him up. Obviously, the pit stop fucked him up with George. Um,
Yeah.
but if he started ahead, I think it would have gone. He would have at least got in, I think, P4 or P3. But it
I
doesn't
don't
really. It
disagree
doesn't.
with
It
you.
ultimately
Yeah.
doesn't actually matter.
Doesn't
So
no.
whatever.
I don't disagree with you, but
Yeah.
I guess tallying up our totals for the entire season with our, or not the entire season, but when we started our
Yeah. So
predictions.
Austria was our first race. So we
Yeah.
had 14 races worth of predictions.
And a total of 4 points that we could gain. Me doing quick math because we know I suck. So that's 56 points that we could have gotten had we predicted
Yes.
everything right.
Mm-hmm.
So out of
So
that,
I want to say this at first. For my predictions, I thought I was a lot further ahead. And I was like very confident. I had
yeah.
25 points.
Yeah, so there was one
And
race that I didn't put in predictions, and I think that's probably why we
yes.
thought that you were way ahead.
And there were also a
But
couple races where I had like 3 races in a row where I got 3. Like
yeah.
3 out of 4. And I was feeling it. But looking back at like my early season predictions, they were really bad. I had like won multiple races in a row. Um so I was not as far as ahead as I thought.
Yeah, because I came in with 24 points. So it was a 1 point difference. Something that the
Yes.
2023 season has never heard of. It was
Yeah,
so
closer
close.
battle between us for predictions than for first place in a race or the
Yeah.
constructors or the drivers.
Yeah.
Anything in 2023.
Exactly. So glad that we could bring a little bit of
Yeah,
excitement there.
if I had lost because I thought I was ahead and just did the stupid predictions, that would have been so upsetting.
That would be funny. I mean, we never really decided what the winner gets.
Yeah. So what do I get for winning?
A
You
high
gotta come up
five
with
and a good
something.
job.
Okay.
We'll debate.
We'll debate.
Yeah.
Next year in
Well,
Austin, you can buy drinks for a day or something.
That's like $100+
That
in
is true.
itself.
Maybe one round of drinks.
But yeah, no, drinks are very expensive at the race, but worth it because you're dehydrated. So one drink really gets you going.
That is absolutely true. Um, so what was the total that we could have had? 56?
56, yeah.
Yeah, so we did not do
we,
too hot. Less than half
no.
of the points available we got.
To be fair though, that's pretty tough.
That is pretty good because I feel like the wild ones we didn't get very often, but that's getting like
Yeah.
I don't know,
We
that's
were getting
getting
wild.
like 2 out of
Yeah.
4 almost every time,
Yeah.
which is
No, that's pretty
solid.
good. Well, I
It
mean,
does
think
it
of how
does
many times
help when P1 was the same person 19 times.
yeah, I think if we
So
didn't have
that theoretically should
that,
have been 13 points for each of us.
that makes sense. That adds up.
Yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
I mean, it
maybe
was just a
maybe next
given.
season if it is a little bit closer we'll have like 14 points each.
We'll do better next time.
Definitely.
But I think it was pretty good. It was pretty good.
Yeah, and it was close. It was a good battle.
I tricked you almost. Almost got you.
See, I knew I should have tallied it up last week, but I
It's
was
like,
too lazy and I
no.
didn't. But it worked out,
Good.
so it's fine. It was
Yeah,
it was
whatever.
meant to
One
be.
point. Uh,
All
whatever.
right.
Anyway,
So
moving back to the race.
yeah,
What was your.
what was? Oh, you
Okay,
go
I'll
ahead.
go. So, moment of the race, I feel like there really wasn't much that stood out to me, but I have to give a special shout out to Yuki for leading the race. He is the first ever Japanese driver to ever lead a Formula One race. So
I thought it was the second ever.
I saw
I
first.
okay. I thought it was. I thought they said it was like the first Japanese driver in like for Franz Tost or like in this era, and there's like one other Japanese driver or something. But I might have been wrong. Regardless, it was very
I
cool to
mean,
see
like looking it up.
Yuki lead.
I swear that that's what I saw, but as we know, sometimes my memory starts mixing up numbers and things. But yeah, regardless, shout out Yuki. I feel like that was such a great end of the season for him. So glad to see that he could end on a high note.
Yeah, good for him. And I mean, obviously he kept falling in places, but there was a point where he was making AlphaTauri past Williams, but obviously he
Yeah,
dropped like 4 more spots and it didn't happen. But
can't be perfect out there.
no, no. So my moment of the race um, was on the first lap. Says something
Right.
about the race. But it was pretty like we don't often see Max actually going wheel to wheel, but I when Charles like came up the inside into I think it was like turn 5 or turn 6, the end of the long straight, and he was 100% ahead, but somehow Max was able to like hold him off. Um, it was just good wheel to wheel racing, and
Yeah.
I think almost Charles, like, if Charles knew he had a car fast enough to win, I think he might have tried to be a little bit more aggressive and like hold the position. But yeah, I mean, he just kind of let Max go, really. But
It's smart.
it was some wheel to wheel racing for the lead, which we have
It
not seen much
was.
this season, and it
I was.
lasted 2 corners.
Two corner. Well, I feel like Charles was keeping up with Max pretty well in the beginning of the race. Like he was
Yeah,
not falling too far behind.
yeah.
So
In that first stint, I think he was only like 2 seconds behind, but then after the pit stops,
yeah,
Max just left.
dominated. Yeah,
He went to a different race
he
basically.
did. He did what he always does, and he just pulls ahead.
Yeah,
Yeah, no, that was a great moment of the race too. But we all kind of knew we didn't get our hopes up for that.
yeah. Just got the hopes up maybe like there'd be some sort of accident or a little bit of battling, but one corner is kind of all we can hope for these days.
He can't be greedy.
Yeah. So moving on to race controversy, because it was a boring race, not much happened. I feel like the only thing notable that did happen was the 5 second penalty that Checo got.
Mm-hmm.
Um, and I don't know if you heard, but at the end of the race, he like cursed at the stewards and like, these are not Formula One stewards. They're terrible. I should never have gotten a penalty for this. And then he got summoned to the stewards and basically had to like say like, I'm sorry to them.
I didn't see that actually. That's so funny.
Yeah, but he absolutely deserved a 5 second penalty. It was the classic
Yeah,
Checo move from this year where he
yeah,
just drives into another car and
yeah.
expects them to get out of the way.
And
Like
like tries
it,
to play dumb and be like, he
yeah,
hit
it's
me.
happened.
It's like
It's happened like 4 times this year, and he's gotten a 5 second penalty every time. Like, I don't know what he was expecting.
I don't either, but I mean, it made for an interesting. Again, going back to Ferrari's strategy, we have to tie in his 5 second penalty,
Hmm.
where Charles let him pass for P2,
Yeah,
so that he could try to defend off George, which we know didn't happen.
yeah,
Um, but
yeah.
goes to show.
If Charles really wanted to play dirty, he could have like slowed down so that way he was like 3 seconds behind Checo, and then like the last lap just like really slowed down George, and then just tried to like, it would been like impossible to manage. But if he was able to stay within 5 seconds of Checo and then slow down George to be outside of 5 seconds, Ferrari would have won. But I think it would just risk like too
Yeah,
much and him losing P2 in the
yeah, that was
race.
a big
So
risk. Definitely. I
it
mean,
would have been cool, but yeah, there's probably no chance he could have pulled that off.
absolutely none. But I mean, he tried. So good for him for taking strategy into his own hands. And
Yeah.
he tried.
Yeah, he said after the race that it wasn't something they had discussed. It was just like him like calculating the points while he was driving, and
So crazy.
yeah, I mean that's what they get paid to do: drive and calculate and do math, right?
Something I can't do, as we quickly
We
found
found out
out.
last week. Yeah,
Could not for the life of me add numbers. So definitely couldn't do that while driving at like 200 miles per hour.
yeah. I don't think any normal person could do that. To be fair.
That's true.
So moving on to driver highlight again. Not a ton going on. But just like we talked about earlier, shout out to Yuki for being the only person in the top 10 that really didn't deserve to be there, or not deserve, but like wasn't expected to be there. He definitely deserved to be there.
Holy shit. That was brutal.
He did deserve to be there, but he wasn't
Offi-
expected to be
Official statement that Graham hates
there.
Yuki. Someone spread the news.
No,
Yeah, obviously
I'm
driver
a
of the
big Yuki
day.
fan.
Yeah, yep, he's got a lot of personality in a small package. Um,
Yeah,
that sounded weird, but
it's like a Chihuahua,
yeah,
small but he's very yappy.
yeah, he's got a temper, so that's fun to watch. But shout out Yuki.
Yeah,
Woo.
yeah, and then it was
Um,
also not really a driver highlight, but it was Franz Tost's last race as AlphaTauri team principal.
mhm.
Um, he's been responsible for like 6 or 7 of the drivers on the grid getting their drives in AlphaTauri and then moving on, or Toro Rosso. Um, I think he's just retiring or he's changing positions, but he's no longer going to be team principal.
Yeah, curious to see what comes next for him.
Yeah, we I need to find out if it's a retirement or if it's like he's just going to some
Do
other
something
position where he
else.
doesn't actually need to be on the track. I feel like it could be retirement. He's getting there.
Oh, me playing music on my phone. I ended up playing music and turning on my flashlight simultaneously.
Wow.
Okay,
Can't
that's
do math,
fine.
but you can do that.
I have many talents. Math is not one of them. All right, so moving on to stats and nerdy shit. What do you
Yeah, so
have?
This one is nothing too fancy. Just kind of looking at the data from everyone's race pace, and I think it's pretty cool that in the top five fastest drivers, there were four different teams, um, and then between them, it was 3/10 of a second.
Wow.
So, despite Max and Red Bull being very fast, it was actually pretty close between all of them. Um, but obviously, 3/10 of a second per lap over 58 laps makes a big difference.
Yeah.
Um, and I did actually secondary stat that's not part of this. I saw that the field spread last year it was 2.5% on average between like the fastest driver and the slowest driver of every race. This year it was 1.5%.
Oh, wow.
So the teams have gotten closer, even though the racing at the front hasn't been as good. But just in general, the grid has been more competitive, which is always good to see. Um,
Interesting.
and I feel like this year there weren't any really back marker teams. It was just kind of midfield and then the top teams.
Yeah. Interesting.
Um, yeah, so just something cool to see, and hopefully next year that means we're going to keep that trend going and have even better racing, and all the
And
teams will be fighting for wins.
and the Red Bull slows down somehow.
Yeah, somehow.
Max gets demoted. He's driving the Williams.
Yeah, Williams just announced breaking news: Max Verstappen to race for Williams in 2024.
Imagine.
It is interesting that they still have not confirmed that Logan's going to be racing for them,
I
which I
know.
feel like at this point is not a good sign.
I don't know.
And I think James Vowles even said like, we're not at the position to announce that yet, but regardless of what happens, Logan will always be part of the Williams Academy. I feel like that's not what you want to hear if you're Logan.
Yeah. That didn't
So
sound too hopeful, but I'm
I
like,
imagine they'll announce that soon. I feel like that's the kind of thing that they can't just let go forever.
that's what I'm thinking. I mean,
Who knows? Maybe they'll roll up to Bahrain testing next year, and we still won't know.
imagine
Um,
they're like, oh, we're just testing out a few
Nico
drivers.
Rosberg coming out of retirement.
Please. That would be insane.
That would be that would be
Nick
fun though.
Paris.
Like kind of do like what Alonso did, or like Seb comes out of retirement, races
That
for
would be sick.
Williams.
That would be sick.
Would always love to have Seb back, but I think he's
I
moved
think
on
his
to better be keeping things.
yeah. He's living his best non-driver life.
Yes, exactly.
Everyone deserves a break.
All right, so moving on to meme of the week. What do you have for us?
Okay. Well, why don't you take it away? I'm going to send you mine.
Okay, so I have a feeling that these are going to be Ferrari themed, based on
They
the earlier comments. But my meme is it's a picture of the SF-23 in a garbage truck, and it just says goodbye SF-23. Um,
Yeah.
it's funny because I think this could apply to so many teams this year. That is like, please get this car in the garbage can. Never
Away.
want to touch it again. Like
Yeah.
Mercedes, it could apply
It's what
to probably like all of the midfield lower end teams. Um, yeah, just a trash
put him
car
away.
that under delivered, underperformed, blew up a couple times. Get out of here.
Shorted.
Yeah.
It's where it belongs. Yeah. I'm sure they're relieved. I know I saw a lot of stuff going on social media of like all the drivers obviously like celebrating post race, and everyone in the comments is like they're just celebrating the fact that they don't have to drive this car again.
Yes.
There must be some sort of stress relieved with that.
Probably. They
Um,
probably are gonna have PTSD every time they see that car at the factory.
I don't know why, but the factory just sounds like I know it's called the factory, but it just sounds like it's like a farm or like
Where they go get
anyway.
put to sleep.
Yeah, literally. Okay. That's just me being twisted. All right, so my
All right,
meme
let's see yours.
is I think this is Tom and Jerry, but I can't
That is definitely Tom and
tell.
Jerry.
Yeah,
Definitely
I
Tom and
just
Jerry.
needed confirmation. Um, but he's, sweeping, he's dusting, he's vacuuming. So he's doing a lot of chores at the same time with a
Multitasking.
Ferrari helmet. He's multitasking. And it says Charles Leclerc at Abu Dhabi, and it's strategy, driver, and team principal because he did all of the above on his own and basically pretended that he didn't have a team. Which, as we mentioned before, is the only way that Ferrari can be successful for the most part.
Yep. Yep. He
So,
is a one-man team. Good Ferrari themed memes this week.
yes.
Just really shitting on Ferrari, I guess, right?
Yep. And my pickup line also shits on Ferrari. So,
Speaking of, let's hear it. Let's move on to Hinge pickup line of the week.
so we got a few here. This first one's Tom going on theme with Ferrari. It's a long one, so buckle up.
Okay.
Uh, Tom said, I feel like Ferrari's strategist right now because I can't think of a right strategy to start a conversation with you. And if I switch to plan B, it's only going to get worse.
That one's actually really good.
Yeah. So
I,
I
I'm
like
a
that one.
I'm a big fan of that. I was a little bit weary when you said it was gonna be long, but I like that. That was good. And it was
It
well
was a
thought
little
out.
longer.
It was
Hmm.
well thought out. I'll give
Yeah,
that
I
one
like
like
it.
a
I would give it
9. I'm a big fan of
okay.
that one.
Okay. I was going to give it an
Compared to
8.
some of the other ones we've seen recently, I'll give
Yeah.
it a 9.
I think they go downhill from here. So good thing that we started off on a high note.
Start off with a high.
Because this next one, Mike, he said,
Okay.
F1 may be on your mind, but your looks are A1.
Wow. That ain't it, Mike.
I think that gets a 0.5 out of 10.
That's so bad. Like it just mentions F1 but has nothing to do with F1.
No,
No.
no.
It's just
He just said
bad.
F1, A1. Yeah,
Yeah.
all
No,
around that.
that's
Trash.
1 out of 10 for me. Yeah.
Yep.
Garbage.
All right. And this last one, don't know if I did it before,
Okay.
which isn't good, but
We'll find out.
Kevin goes, I got fresh rubber at my pit stop.
I don't think I've heard that one before, but I am
Yeah.
surprised by that because that's pretty. I feel like that would be like one of the more popular ones.
I've only gotten it once.
Wow, Kevin is very original, I guess.
Mm, yeah. And he has fresh rubber.
I'll give it like a 5.
I don't like the way that it made me feel. I'll give it like a 2.
I feel like
It's a little-
it's not also I think it should be lower. It's not even F1 specific. It's just racing. And so like
yeah,
a maybe a
it's not.
3. I'll give it a 3.
Yeah.
I
It's
think
a
that's
little
more
too much
fitting.
for me. Yeah.
Yeah.
Not a fan. Ooh. But anyway, that was 3 to end it off.
Wow. And a good mix too. We had a really good one and a couple iffy ones.
Yeah. Well, we started with a high note, ended bad. Just, kind of similar to like this season.
That's a good analogy. There you go.
I'm always thinking.
All right. Well, that is our review of the 2023 Abu Dhabi Grand Prix. And that is the end of the 2023 F1 season.
Yeah. Sad. We have
Is
until
it sad? It's sad that there's no F1, but it's not sad that the season is done. This
yeah,
season is done.
agreed. I will say though, it will be nice to sleep in on a Sunday, not have to watch Vegas at 1 a.m. on a Saturday.
Mm-hmm.
That is nice, but I'll miss it. I think the next thing, well, not the next thing, but Drive to Survive comes out end of February.
Yep, I think it comes out
So
like right before preseason testing, which is I think like
yeah,
first weekend or first week of March.
yeah, I think
Um,
yeah.
so we got
So
a few months.
so nothing to hold us over in the meantime. Like I really wish
No,
they would have like release it. I don't know, like in January, so we just had something to keep us company while we
that would
waited.
be cool if they did like an episode every 2 weeks or something leading up to the
Yeah,
season. I think that would be, but that would be the better way to do it. But Netflix doesn't do that. Netflix
yeah.
is all
Well,
about the
no,
binge watching.
they do that.
They'll do
But
like half seasons at a time, right? But not like weekly.
they'll do like a couple episodes, like maybe like 3 every week.
Okay, I've not. I don't think I've seen a show that on Netflix that has done that, but at
Love
least
is
they're not doing
Blind.
like. Okay, that would make sense. I have not watched that show.
Yeah, I guess it really depends how much they want to tease that out a little bit, but
Yeah.
kind of happy I can just binge this one.
Hmm. All right. Well, that's gas,
That's
and
gas.
I think that we'll probably do some like pre or postseason rankings, preseason predictions, that kind of thing over the next couple months. So stay tuned for that, and we'll see you next time.
We'll see you next year, guys.
Peace.
Bye.